Hey everyone, this is Andy Hall. You're watching Best Advice Ever. This is the show where great people come on and talk about the best advice they ever got.
Yeah.
Today we have Seamus on the show. Seamus is from the Free Thought Prophet. It's a great show. A little bit more about Seamus. Let me be super lazy and just read from his bio. Seamus is a former law enforcement officer turned atheist activist. He was raised as a committed Christian and became a member of the Church of Christ. After having a moment of clarity, which required being medically revived from death, Seamus found his way to reason, rationality, and a secular worldview. Seamus founded the Free Thought Prophet to promote free inquiry and positive atheism. He is a musician and a proud single father. He holds a BA in Criminology and a minor in psychology. How are you doing today, Seamus?
Oh, pretty good. How's yourself?
So far, so good, but the day is still young.
That's it. Yeah, I'm enjoying the toilet paper apocalypse so far, but can't complain too much.
I found a secret stash down the street in a little convenience store, a little bodega, and the only problem is that no one is socially distancing there.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. And what I'm finding is, like, whenever I'm at the store, it's usually the older people that aren't doing it. And I'm thinking, brother, you're the one that's at risk. Back up. It's just weird.
I have found that too in this little place where I found my, which is my connection with toilet paper. Dudes just playing lottery, just watching the Keno screen play, drinking, hanging out, drinking their sodas, whatever, smoking outside. But I found in the back all this toilet paper.
You say it's your connection now. Do you have to have like a secret password to get in the door or anything? Or
I just have to hold my breath for the amount of time I'm in the store because I'm afraid of getting coroned. I don't know if that's a verb or not, but I'm going to go with that.
I like that.
Yeah. So, dude, tell the people who aren't acquainted with your show about your show.
So basically, it just started. Like you said a minute ago, I was a former law enforcement officer. When I was a law enforcement officer, I found my way out of fundamental Christianity. And I was a member of the Church of Christ. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. I like to call it the less hostile Westboro, I guess, because they're very much alike, but they, a little bit less extroverted, I guess. Anyways, so I was a member of that church, and whenever I got out of atheism, like a lot of atheists, you get that angry, we allowed to cuss on this show?
Oh, yeah, dude. Go ahead.
Okay. Fuck the world kind of, especially, religion and stuff. So I started posting memes and, doing a lot of the normal shtick on social media. And my sheriff at the time basically told me I couldn't do that as a law enforcement officer, which is total bullshit, really. But, we already didn't like each other, and that just kind of, churned those gears along. But anyways, so I just came up with something anonymous and went with the Free Thought Prophet, and which mainly because the non-profits was taken, because like you, I'm a Carlin fan, and that stuck in my head. So that's why I felt like I had to put profit in there at first, and then work backwards. But anyways, so basically I just made it for memes and posting whatever I wanted to, kind of thing. And then eventually, again, like a lot of atheists, you start listening to podcasts and videos and stuff. And I start thinking, well, I'm creative. I like doing music and writing stuff. So I thought, shit, why not do a podcast? So, and by then I was out of law enforcement, thankfully, and didn't have to worry about, still a little bit of anonymity is nice, hence Seamus. But still, I was a little bit more free to do it. Started doing it and actually tried to do more of a slapstick kind of funny atheism podcast at first, but it wasn't like that. I don't want to do that because I want to talk to people. And then I started talking to a couple of people, and then I was like, I still don't feel comfortable with this. I need something else. And of course, obviously, hello, I'm Irish. So I thought, well, there's got to be, some sort of resistance in Ireland against the Catholic Church, because that's like the Pope's summer home, right? So, so I reach out, find Atheist Ireland. They hooked me up with John Hamill. John Hamill came on as a guest on the show, and it was like talking to somebody I've known all my life. We just, hit it off like, I don't know, white on rice, whatever analogy you want to use. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know, within an hour after the show, I'm messaging him. I was like, hey, I don't want to do this show alone anymore, and I'd very much like it if you would come on full time. And boom, that was it. He agreed.
Fantastic.
Thankfully, and it's just been a blast. So as far as the show goes now, it's basically just an excuse or a vehicle for us to talk to people we want to about things that we want to talk about. The format's super relaxed, as we generally drink lots of whiskey or Guinness or both.
So I have to ask you about this, sir.
Sure.
Is that a tax write-off?
Yeah, I tell you what. I made the joke under Trump that my liver should be a dependent at this point.
Excellent.
You know what I mean? So.
Sure.
Yeah. So no, it's not a write-off, and we've actually been trying to get whiskey companies to sponsor the show, even just sending us free whiskey, but that hasn't worked out yet. So.
Well, to live is to hope, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. So we've had a few of them engage with us on Twitter. So there's still hope. There's still hope.
You work in the system, sir. That's what you do. You bobbing and weave, and you work in it. It's only a matter of time before somebody throws you a case of whiskey.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, we've had some friends and fans of the show actually send us whiskey, which is been fantastic and well appreciated. So.
Fantastic, dude.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on your success. I saw that you have over 200 episodes up.
Yeah. Well, what we've been doing is we'll do we have the official count episodes, and then we have just like specials. We're actually closing in on the official 200, which we're debating about doing that live. Don't know how that's going to work out. The initial plan was actually, because I've never been to Ireland, was for me to travel there. And we do it live from a pub, and we actually had some people lined up to come, but because of the pandemic, also a little bit of finances on my end. So we're kind of holding that bay. We'll just do that down the road, hopefully sometime this year, but you never know. We've been lucky as far as getting guests on. Another thing we tried to do, which we've completed now, is we did our own little Bible study. But with it, though, we tried to do just the Gospels. And instead of going through Matthew and then going through Mark, we looked at all four at the same time and try to,
Well, that's smart.
Differentiate.
That's smart.
Yeah.
So that was you can really see the contrast between the narratives of each book.
Yeah, that was a blast. It was a lot of fun. So, and we had a lot of, like I said, the one thing that the Bible will never fail you on is providing humor, because oh my goodness, just some of the different things that come up in there, it's insane.
I don't know what Jesus is your favorite Jesus. My Jesus is Whip Jesus.
Whip Jesus. Okay.
Whip Jesus, the horsehair whip in the temple Jesus. He's the one who speaks to my godless heart.
You know what I've come away from after reading all that is that he's a dick. I mean, he really is just kind of a dick. He comes in like a prima donna, like a rock star, and he's just wanting everybody to be catered to him. This whole shtick about taking care of the poor, he's very clear that they get taken care of after I do. You know what I mean? It's all about me as long as I'm here, you'll have time for them, but I'm only here for a little while. He's just such a prima donna. He's such a dick through the whole thing. I mean, it's in the Sermon on the Mount. If you listen to it, it's like kind of code. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you listen to it, he's kind of like telling the rabbis or the future priests, this is how you get people to listen to you. This is how you do a cult. I mean, really, if you listen to it, that's what he's saying. It's more instruction than it is, instruction to them more than it is to us to kind of, that's really enlightening. No, it's not. So, anyways, that's my feel on it.
Fantastic. Well, I think this is a great place to pivot over to the best advice you ever received.
Oh boy. So actually, I'm gonna go with, because I've had a lot of good advice and bad advice. Probably my favorite, although I won't use this for today, was my grandfather told me never get married and never get old. And fuck if I didn't listen to either one of those. But anyways, yeah. So listen to that one, kids. But the best advice, believe it or not, is actually from my friend John Hamill, who constantly uses this advice or this retort, if you will, to pretty much anything you ask him, and it is, well, just tell him to fuck off. It sounds so simple, but it's true, because often we kind of labor that we have to, perpetuate everything that we want to do or live by under, somebody else's, appreciation or judgment or anything. And, really just tell everybody to fuck off and do what you need to do. Do what's best for you, And I know that sounds dumb and maybe simple, but sometimes you need that just kind of blunt, verbiage to, fuck off. I'm going to do what I want to do.
It's important to have that rolling around in your own head at the very least.
Yes.
I wrote an article on Medium, I don't know, about 2 months ago, about the power of saying no.
Yes. And
a lot of very successful people will tell you straight up, you just have to say no to a majority of things going on.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those things other people want you to do, it kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not an easy thing to do, And again, keeping negative people and negative, things out of your life is at times a hard thing to do because you're kind of socially contracted to feel obligated to do this stuff,
Right.
It could be just simple as dealing with somebody that's being rude and that needs to be told to fuck off, or doing something for a friend or family member that is really, going to inconvenience you. I mean, above, the norm.
Yeah.
Just no, fuck off.
Now, the first time you heard it from your buddy, was it like an epiphany, like the rainbow, the sunlight?
No, it really didn't, because I've heard him say it more than once. But whenever he was kind of, actually, his wife had made fun of him about it, because she would always, she seems to be, I don't want to say anything about negative, because I think she's a wonderful person, but I think she kind of brings, her issues to him, which, most wives and husbands do that. But it's always looking for that, a piece of advice. And she's like, every time I do this, you say the same thing. And he's like, well, you didn't listen to me then, And he's telling me this is a joke. It is funny. But I was like, God damn, that is some really good advice, So,
yeah. Was there a point in your life that you had difficulty with the fuck-offs, with saying that?
Well, again, have I actually, it's probably few and far between I've actually told them.
But living the lifestyle.
Literally. Yeah. But as far as saying no, that's just period. That's kind of what I took from it. But it's been difficult at times over the years, because I'm just that, as far as personality, I'm more the pleaser than the doer kind of thing. And I've been trying to shift more to prioritize things properly, I guess. You know what I mean? Try to shift the negative shit out of my life, which again, a lot of this is via religion and, all those things. There's nothing more that'll give that sense of obligation than religion, right? So, yeah.
Well, that's what it is. Religion is very sticky, right? It's very sticky. It makes you stick to a lot of crap that you don't want to be attached to.
Yeah. And guilt is wonderful. Never been Catholic, but that's another joke I had with John is, I was born with the Catholic guilt even though I wasn't, Catholic. I've always had this sense of guilt about being happy. And of course, whenever I, started into that, bit of religion, it just drenched, that thought process even more and made it so much harder to get out of. So, even now, I still deal with that. As far as one of the biggest lingering things from religion, I don't technically have sin or any of that shit. You know what I mean? But sometimes I will still have that guilt feeling.
Yeah. Well,
I shouldn't feel guilty.
Yeah. After deconverting, it's weird how these artifacts of religion stay in your head, right? These habits of thinking.
Yeah, it's really hard to get past. Some people like the parts of religion, like as far as the fellowship and the community, I like the idea of belonging, but at the same time, uh, a lot of that community or whatever is kind of based on a lot of just horrible things, and even if you take the religion away, and seems to be somewhat universal with the people ex-Christians and even other faiths, that a lot of it is that there's just various cliques in the congregation. Everybody gets dressed up to try to outdo the other person, and a lot of gossip and judgment passed on half of the congregation. And I don't like that shit. I don't like listening to somebody going on about somebody else. I'm just not that. I don't like passive aggressive bullshit unless it's making fun of religion. But you know what I mean? Other than that, I hate all that drama, that negative bullshit. And there just seems to be nothing more than that community of it. That's why I don't really get involved in any of the secular Sunday assembly events and stuff. And hey, get at you if that's what you want to do and you enjoy it, cool. But I don't know. It's just not my thing.
I've been to several secular groups that meet on Sunday, and I feel like I always went every once in a while because I feel like I should support the team somehow.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
But I don't think anyone would look at me and go, Andy Hall, you're part of the team, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Do you think that I know everybody says getting atheists together is like herding cats, but I mean, do you think that us as a community is just not meant to work out because of
absolutely
all
not. It is a lack of focus and a lack of understanding what the thing is unto itself. The idea is that you have to have some kind of superordinate goal. I think that's the social psychology term for it. You get atheists together, and we're just going to, like any other group, we're just going to like fight or gossip or do whatever. The thing is, there has to be a clear goal involved. And if there isn't a clear goal involved, like feeding the poor, helping people, doing this kind of activity that is outside of the group, if you don't have a focus outside of the group for everyone to work for, then that group will disintegrate or it's going to implode. It's something bad is going to happen. So it isn't a question, and as you can tell, I'm kind of hopped up on this.
Gotcha.
The question isn't whether or not it's possible. It's a question of why hasn't the leadership, the people who should know better, why aren't they doing this on a community basis?
Yeah.
Because there's a clear methodology to it. There is a clear path forward, and people aren't doing it.
Well, let me ask you this then, because I think what causes some of these issues, good or bad, is like you said, feeding the poor. Obviously, a great goal. Promoting and advocating for rights for LGBT, for various minorities, blacks and so forth. All that is great. But at the same time, it seems like if a certain group doesn't advocate strong enough or doesn't do X, Y, and Z, then there seems to be a counterbalance. And then what I'm trying to get at, I mean, there seems to be a lot of just infighting over those kinds of decisions.
Well, there has to be a clear understanding about, one, this model isn't for everybody, right? There are ways of doing this model that will work. Let me back up a little bit and let's talk about why we're feeding the poor, right? Besides that, it's simply the right thing to do. It is a way for us not to dig our own graves. If we are just out there fighting court battles and not winning hearts and minds, we are digging our own graves in the atheist movement. Yeah. We will just be those people on the train car of the undesirables. And people don't like hearing that. But it is true. We have this idea that it's just a matter of time before liberal values win in America. I want to tell you something, brother. This is clearly not the case. And I think we have seen that in the last 3 years. And the way now that's why we're doing it, and how we do it. We just do what Paul did in the Bible, right? We just send people out to do community organizing. You get a central organization that funds 1 or 2 people to do a community organizing within a section, within a district, right? One person takes care of 5 areas and they just plant. and they nurture, and they do the pastoral work that's possible. It is long-term, it is difficult, but it is imminently possible.
Well, I'm glad you brought up liberal values, because that kind of segues to another question. What actually is liberal values anymore? Because we have kind of the progressives, which my understanding, you are kind of in that camp, correct? Which, to be clear, I am also in that camp. So
sure.
Yay. But then you have the dominant, at least what seems to be the dominant, at least in the power group, is the neoliberals.
Yep.
Which are, to me, just Republican light.
Sure, they are.
Yeah. So what do you see? And I don't want to hijack the show because I don't know how much time you got.
Absolutely not. I love talking about this stuff.
So where do you see the future of this going right now? I mean, we're kind of here we are again, stuck with a very bad candidate, I think.
Yep.
If that's who we get stuck with as far as the DNC goes with, or they replace him with somebody else equally bad.
Part of this is messaging on our part in terms of progressives. We need to tell the truth. We need to tell the truth that this country is either going to be like Norway or it's going to be like Venezuela.
Yes.
It is one of those two things. We're at a bifurcation point. We will go down one of those two roads, and it's clear which road we're going down right now.
Yeah. And that's not because of socialism. That's because of capitalism.
That is because of capitalism. And not just capitalism, but this kind of toxic capitalism that we find in America.
Yeah. I mean, I always think it's funny, our whole life we've been told, well, you need to save for a, some sort of disaster. It's your fault that you didn't prepare for the end of the, something bad happening. Here we are, something freaking bad happening. Where's everybody else? Where's the one percenters? Where's all the businesses that suddenly are asking for a handout because they didn't prepare?
Well, the nature of oligarchy is oligarchism, right? The oligarchs want you to feel like it is your fault.
Yes.
And so you're always on the defensive, right?
Yes.
We've got to flip that narrative around and say, it is not your fault. It is the system that you are in that is taking advantage of you. We have to be playing less defense and more offense.
Do you think that, I can't say particularly this show, but I mean other, and I would even say the Young Turks, but something like that as far as social media presence taking over the real media as far as where people get their information. Do you think that is the general progression that will get us out of this as far as shifting the narrative and the message? Because, I mean, unfortunately, you have YouTube kind of throttling and doing different things to still promote the same mainstream media and the same mainstream media ideas.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, money's kind of polluted all this stuff. They've polluted the politics.
Money is one of the core problems. And when you look at a country like Norway, for an example, that happens to be a petrol state in a lot of ways, but yet it is a free state. The thing is, they found democracy before they found oil. Right. So they already had institutions functioning. So what we need to do is, once again, message and create our own institutions, non-government institutions, and create a core of people who are assertive and who are out in communities changing hearts and minds.
Do you think we have that now, or do you
Absolutely
think we're far
not.
off?
It is a failure of leadership. We are basically, most of us in the atheist movement, we are digging our own graves. That's what it is. And this is why I'm so popular too, Seamus, by the way. We are digging our own graves if we are not out there in communities doing what churches do. And that is feeding the poor, educating people. We would do real education too. Education that isn't about reading through ancient books of fan fiction.
Yeah.
We would be giving people real tools in life to survive and thrive. We do that. That's the way forward. And I know some of the people would be asking me, Andy Hall, there are a lot less religious people in America today. And it's like, yeah, that's nice. How many people in a population do you need to take over a country?
Yeah.
Right? The Bolsheviks in Russia, they were a small minority of people who took over the entire Russian state. The theocrats in Iran, they weren't the majority of people. You only need a small, motivated, well-funded, and armed group to take things over. And we should come to the realization that a lot of people who look like us, Seamus, white guys who aren't sharing our views.
Yes.
They want to keep power.
Yeah. Well, I'm not disagreeing, although I'm not in a hurry to arm atheists to take over the nation.
No, absolutely not. But
I just want to say that.
I'm not for arming either. I am for, but because basically I don't think that's a winning strategy. But what I am thinking, it is the community involvement and helping people and putting the other side on their toes and putting them on defense in communities. I think that's the way forward.
I agree, and I think maybe the best way for that to happen is we have all these different groups. We have FFRF, which is fantastic, and we have American Atheists, which used to be fantastic. And I'm not trying to take shots, but they've just kind of disappeared. They're not really involved like they used to be and should be, quite frankly. So why can't we get some of these groups to just join and be, like you're saying, maybe they're arms of the same tent, if you would. Why can't we have FRF just be the legal wing? Just engage that on that perspective and have American Atheists either be the talking point for the media, but also do community outreach.
That's valid.
Why can't we have this coordination between these major groups and these major organizations?
But we only need one group to do this one thing, and it will work. Because leadership matters, once again, and when it works, other people will fall in line. Yeah. And if they don't, I think you said this, fuck them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, nothing to say anything bad about groups who don't agree with it, but we cannot be bound to people who disagree with us. We are never going to carry everybody in the movement forward, and that's fine, right? We don't need everybody. We just need people who realize that this is the way to go forward, and people will respond to that. People like leadership.
True.
Yeah.
As far as people and or out there, the progressive movement, are we dead in the water there, or do you see a way out as well? Is AOC and such the true people that we need to hold on to get us through this, or have we not actually established any sort of leadership or movement there either?
People who win should be the ones who are leading, right? So she's out there. She understands media. Let's face it, the camera likes her, and that means a lot in today's world. And so if she is doing the job that she needs to do, well, I'm not going to be the one to tell her, hey, you shouldn't be doing that job.
Sure.
And if nothing else, she pushes the Overton window, right? She pushes what is allowable for conversation within our community and within the United States. And so that's great.
Yeah, and I think her message, as well as Bernie's, when properly explained, right?
Yeah.
I think really hits both sides of the aisle as far as, the community goes, as far as people goes.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we get it watered down and
also
by themselves and by the media. I don't know. Do you see Bernie coming out of this at all? Or
there's no. I don't think there's any real statistical way. I mean, there might be a statistical way, but I don't think there's a real way of him winning this, which is too bad. I went door to door for Bernie. I voted for Bernie. I'm here in Massachusetts. I voted for him. I'm a big Bernie supporter. But it's too bad.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you have to do groundwork, right? You have to do the groundwork. And the Republicans are always doing groundwork through the churches, through Fox News. And for Bernie, who is trying to devour the rest of the Democratic Party like Trump devoured the Republican Party, needed to do a lot of groundwork in between 2016 and 2020.
Yeah. Do you think that was the biggest failure, or do you think messaging was, or not attacking Biden early enough, or all three?
I would say that if I was Sanders, I would have answered a few questions differently.
Yeah.
And whether or not you like Donald Trump or not, Donald Trump knows how to answer questions and put people on their heels.
Yes.
And the thing is, if someone was going to ask me how we're going to pay for it all, I would just say the same way we paid for the war in Iraq, the $1.5 trillion that we just spent. And I just want to point out, over $400 billion that we've paid is in interest to the loans. It isn't even on the principal. And I know I might be losing some people on principal interest. But look, we're paying a lot of money just on the interest. So you got the nerve to ask me how we're going to pay for it?
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, when someone asks you a question like that, a lot of the times they aren't asking you the question. They're really implying that you're an idiot and you have no idea what you're talking about. And that's what you should be answering. It's like, no, I'm not the idiot.
Yeah.
It's actually the question that's absurd. This is an absurd question. And that's how he should have responded.
Yeah, which was the bulk of the questions that he often got during those debates as well.
Well, yeah, and that's how you silence that, right? That's how you it's like a smoldering fire and you put a big wet blanket on it. It's like, bam, every single time someone asks you the same question, it's like, I don't even know why you're asking me this question for, because I just answered it. It's that's not specifics. Did you ask for specifics when we went to war in Iraq? Did you do that? No one asks. No one asks how you're going to pay for the tax cuts, right? Did you ask? That's insane.
I thought Tulsi Gabbard was really great at answering things like that as well. You know what I mean? Answering it properly. Although, wow, that chip kind of blew up at the end there too. I don't understand her coming out against Biden, or for Biden, I should say. But
there's people in the party have a lot of pressure by the party to fall in line. It's unfortunate, but it's true. And people are desperate. See, this is another problem with Democrats, is that they're more afraid than they are angry. And that's the reason why they voted for Biden. They are more afraid than they are angry. And the thing is, you know how you lose elections? You're afraid and you're not angry. And you say that that's wrong to say, Andy Hall? Look at Republicans.
Yeah.
They win presidential elections. Why? Because they're angry. They are not afraid. They are wading in, saying crazy stuff, right? We don't even have to say crazy stuff. We just have to be able to defend with our hearts what is true, what the data says. It's really that simple. And we have to just wade out there and just say it bluntly.
Your messaging can't be, we're not Donald Trump.
No, it can't be.
And that's what it's been. That's what it's been on whenever Hillary ran. Basically, her message was Donald Trump is bad, and I'm not Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And now Biden is Donald Trump is bad, incoherent verbiage. I'm not Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and that's the effect of the populists being more afraid than being angry. They are implicitly saying that they're going to go with the same strategy that they went with for Hillary, which is this blue wall. This insipid blue wall strategy that Donald Trump was obviously able to work around the first time. And
he's going to destroy Biden. He's going to destroy Biden. And in fact, if they replace Biden with any of those other people that was already in, he's going to destroy all them as well.
Yeah.
The only person that could actually call him out with policy, because that's the way I think you do it as well, is Bernie.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen. Bernie, we've already said, Bernie's going to be out. And here's the other thing. I called this, a long time ago that he's going to have another 4 years. And again, so John only, from Ireland, only really listens to CNN or sees that over here. And again, he only sees little bits.
Yeah.
So I mean, he didn't understand the whole dynamic between Bernie and the DNC for a long time. Didn't see a lot of these different things. The Russiagate thing was blown bigger over there too. So, didn't see the various faults with it, or the various faults with the impeachment hearings, and why all that was going to fail, and basically give Trump a bigger boost in the polls as well.
Yeah.
mean, I still don't understand what they were thinking about that. This whole resistance is just all theater. I mean, don't you? Sometimes I kind of feel like I'm just watching WWE. I really do. Would say, like Nancy Pelosi ripping up that speech. I mean, come on, fuck off.
I will respectfully counter that and say that theatricality counts, and putting on a big show counts. And so, if you trigger some Republicans while still rallying your troops, fine, because that's exactly what Trump does,
Okay.
right? That's exactly what he does.
I get what you're going from there too.
Yeah. I was talking with Professor Alan Lichtman over on the Naked Diner, my old show, and he did the 13 keys of how to, he accurately predicts how which presidential candidate is going to win. He's been doing it since 1984.
Sweet.
And he was supporting the idea of impeachment because one of the keys is creating, or if the person has a scandal, right? If a president has a scandal, it works against them. And the thing is, having like 20 little investigations isn't as good as having impeachment, which is a big tent, right? It is a big tent. It dominates the media. And so that is like a wedge. That's like a wedge that cuts through a lot of the BS. And so, I was a big supporter of impeachment. I think ripping crap up, it's a good idea because, once again, it's this theatricalness, if that's a word. I'm not sure if it is, but you have to put on a show just like Trump does. It is.
Sure, but I kind of think that you kind of have to have a bite too. You know what I mean? It's all bark and no bite. I kind of feel like if that's the case, then, why are you voting and funding every single item that he's pushed through? Why, why fund the military?
I agree.
Give him larger expansion of the spy operations than any president before. It's this constant hypocrisy that it's easily shown a light on.
Right. It may be an uneven strategy, but once again, focusing in on the impeachment, good idea. Ripping crap up in front of the camera in front of them, good idea too. A lot of other stuff might be, I don't know why they did that, but those two things, spot on. And the thing is too, you have to understand about poisoning the earth around someone's brand.
Yeah.
Right? Because you only have to affect a certain amount of independent voters in certain states to change their minds from Trump to whoever the Democratic candidate is. So you only have to move the needle a little bit.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening.
Well, no. Well, I predicted Trump winning in 2016. I had a bunch of people tell me I was a bunch of crap. And I actually have money on Trump winning in 2020. I put my bet down like 6 months ago, or my wager down 6 months ago on predicted.org. Will the recession affect him? If anything that will doom President Trump, it will be the recession.
Yeah,
that's
agreed.
what it will be.
And it could be via this pandemic. So
it could be.
Yeah.
But that's it. You know what? We've talked for a long time, Seamus. This has been a great conversation, buddy.
Cool. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm willing to talk as long as you want to, but I know you like to have shorter episodes, so whatever.
I do. I like bite-sized episodes, but you invite me on your show.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll do my Prophet of Doom stuff.
That's awesome.
That you take all day long, and maybe even throw some jokes in. I mean, I don't know.
Okay. So we'll definitely bring up a few drinks.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, if I get a couple of drinks in me, I'm might be a little bit more free with my thoughts, right? Which would be appropriate for your show.
Yeah, that's it.
So, dude, where can people find you online?
So we're pretty much everywhere. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. Although we have more than one page because Facebook is, bit of Nazi-ish lately as far as blowing up stuff. We're on pretty much every social media outlet. The podcast itself's on iTunes and everywhere. On Twitter, we both have our own handles. John is at JohnHamill151, and myself, I'm at the FD Prophet.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for coming on Best Advice Ever.
It was a lot of fun. So
yeah, dude. Yeah, this is great. A lot of fun.
Cool.
All right. Take care.
All righty, man. Take it easy. Bye.